Val, Washington County Democratic Chair. I would like to hear more about transportation that you guys are putting together because it's such a big piece. And I would like to know about what kind of job training you're putting together so that we move people from fixing fossil fuel cars, for example, and gas station attendants into other jobs for renewables.
So one of the things that we're trying to do as a climate caucus is come up with a list of sort of small policy changes that move into bills that are already moving. They're not their own standalone kind of bigger high profile thing. But for instance, in transportation, maybe 6-7 years ago, we created a default standard of any state road upgrade had to be a so-called complete street. Okay, that's a road, a bike path, and a sidewalk. That's the state law. You have to, if Burlington wants to upgrade Route 7, that's a state road, they have to get a waiver to say, here's why we can't do a complete street. So it's a small example, but one of the things we're going to do is we don't have a clue how we're doing. Nobody is measuring our progress on that. That was a law that, is a significant policy change, but if nobody's following it, we need to understand that. So that is not a specific proposal necessarily, but a check-in. There are a lot of ideas. One of the things that I've heard Tim Ash talk about is, for those of us living around here, we see our buses traveling far too often empty. And when we go to Montpelier and say we really have to invest in public transit, and they say even in Chittenden County you're not even remotely filled your buses, that is a very difficult argument. Well, one of the things that has surfaced is the fares that we charge for people to ride the buses is about 20% of their entire budget.
I think it's less.
And so not 10%. Even 10%. Okay, good. Well, 10% is even better. So it's a small portion of the total budget. Those machines, by the way, are breaking a lot, so they're annoying and they cost the whole system to be replaced. And you ever try to ride the bus and you had a $5 bill in your pocket? Can't get change. People are fumbling around for change. When 8 people want to get on the bus, they sit there and wait while 8 people fumble with this thing. And meanwhile, the person that's half a mile down the route is like, why is the bus late? We could just pay that 10%, take the fares out, have them free, remove a barrier for low-income people, and potentially get the buses riding on time, more on time, and perhaps more utilized. So we're very eager to have those kinds of discussions and see if we can get our arms around some solutions. There's ongoing, and there's folks on transportation.
Yeah, transportation and economic development.
Well, I do sit on the transportation committee. I'm new to that committee. I had sat on natural resources for a long time, but asked to be transferred because we needed people who were thinking in terms of climate on the transportation committee. And Kurt McCormick, the chair, and I have met a few times with people over the summer and fall to say that we really, you get there in January, 2 weeks later, you get this budget that's like this big, and you start going through the budget. It's a little intimidating, and it's like we need to see a budget that is more reflective of our climate, our emissions reduction goals, as opposed to fighting every step of the way, which all of a sudden it's like the bill's got to get out of committee, we've got to keep this schedule going. And so I'm really hoping that we see a better budget that comes from the governor's office this year, but we won't know that until January.
You asked about workforce development and what's happening, and not so much with cars and training, but one of the challenges for all of the weatherization issues is we don't have weatherization technicians. And so we put about $200,000 into the community action program, the CAP agencies, to work with low-income people to bring them up. It's actually a very good job. It's a good earning job. It's a really tough job. You're crawling around in crawl spaces, and it's hard. So one of the challenges in all of the programs we're talking about is getting the workforce to fill the jobs and get the training they need so we can, and we're talking about automotive tech and all of that. Vermont Technical College has done a tremendous amount of work in this area and is developing environmental studies programs. And while people are reporting it, is we really need people to go into the trades. And we need to be able to encourage them to do that. And we need to spend more money on the workforce part of our climate solutions, because no matter how good or how much money we put toward people, and we march up our weatherization up the income level, which is great, if we don't have people to do it. So that's the challenge.
Go ahead.